live from iRacing's virtual circuit to Spa-Francorchamps. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the Apex Racing Academy official F3 Championship live on RaceSpotTV. Happy that you're all able to join us here on this beautiful Friday evening, wherever you're tuning in across the globe. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Ewan O'Leary, with our producer, Hugo Louise, down in the virtual production trailer. And Ewan, we're at one of the most famous race courses in all of the land. This is going to be an exciting race, especially as we're used to seeing big GT cars, big Formula One cars on this course. We're scaling way down to these F3 machines.
Yes, we are indeed, and that's going to make for some absolutely fantastic racing here, especially through the Lecombe section, which is right after the long Kemmel Straight up the hill there towards the right east end of the circuit. It's going to be absolutely fantastic there and everywhere, actually, around this circuit. You mentioned those GT cars, they'll be for tomorrow, but for now we've got these kind of small F3 cars, and I think this has the potential to go right the way to the line.
And just about halfway through the schedule now as we work our way through round number 6 of the championship here at Spa. And like you mentioned, the GT cars will be tomorrow. Yes, they will be. 24 hours of Spa this weekend on the service. And as we continue with this F3 calendar, Phillip Island, Montreal, Zandvoort, Imola, Red Bull Ring, and Silverstone will round out our season on September the 3rd. So still a lot of exciting races left to go, Ewan, and a couple of tracks that are going to be a bit of a curveball for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm particularly wondering about the likes of Imola and Zandvoort, to be honest. They're difficult circuits, in my opinion. Obviously, these guys are very experienced on all of these circuits, really, and they'll know what they're doing. But they're particularly difficult circuits for me. Looking forward to Montreal, especially. I've always enjoyed that track for racing, and the Red Bull Ring as well, I think is fantastic. And it's newish on the iRacing service, which makes it always a little bit fun as well. And obviously, what better place to end off the season than at Silverstone on the September the 3rd. Very much looking forward to that one as well. So we've got a great calendar in front of us. This is the last of the first half of the season, as you mentioned, with 6 rounds in after this one of a 12-round season, and it's a perfectly formed calendar, really, in my opinion, and it's going to produce some good racing throughout the season. Very much looking forward to it.
And right up on the top of the board, familiar face up there, Felipe Drugovich up to the top spot, currently number 2. Dantas, Dreta, Falcon, and Rod Clinard rounds out your top 5 as we have 14 times in, waiting on the likes of David Porcelli puts his time in up to 12. Borja Zazo puts in a time, Mark Van Dalen as well, and waiting on Jerome Lamy and a handful of others to make their way across the start-finish line for the first time here in this qualifying session. 2 laps available to each of these drivers to put their lap down on the board, and right now everybody chasing the 210.388 from Felipe Drugovich, who sits on top of the leaderboard right now. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to reach it, or if Drugovich can extend that lead up at the top as he works his way through the middle sector of this course. And we get a good focus on the 2 right now as he works his way into the 3rd sector.
Yeah, let's not forget that he won the very first race of this season at Watkins Glen all the way back 5 weeks ago now. So he hasn't had great performances since then, really, in the F3 Championship, but he certainly seems to be back on top form here tonight. He's actually just 44 thousandths ahead of the round 2 winner, so we've got 2 previous race winners on the front row together right now, which is interesting to note. Adrian Falcon, who's going for his 3rd win in 3 weeks, currently in 5th place.
A little bit slowed down. Josh Polane ahead of him, along with Paulo Dreta. And you mentioned the 2 race winners from the first 2 rounds, Drugovich and Dantas. They're in the top 2. A little bit different than what viewers might be recognizing as Spa's start-finish line is down past turn number 2. You can see Felipe Drugovich working his way to the start-finish now, and he crosses it, but Dantas going to be able to go up to the top of the board. Not for long. 209.876. Drugovich going to extend his lead at the top, but the start-finish line is being put just a little bit further down past turn 2 instead of the normal start-finish line we're used to right outside of the normal turn number 20, turn 19 here in that chicane, as Adrian Falcon goes to the top of the board, 209.801.
He's been so impressive in these last 2 weeks as Falcon. He's been ripping the racers apart. He's been dominant in this field. And on the previous 2 occasions, which is why everybody else has to be worried, at Hockenheim and Oulton Park, he got the pole position. He led into turn 1. He didn't look back, didn't give anyone else a chance. If he's able to do that again here at Spa, if he's able to get through Lecombe in the lead in this race, I think there's no way of stopping him. He's got Felipe Drugovich behind him this time, though. We know how quick he is. He's got that slipstream effect as well up into Lecombe as well, which is going to be very crucial for him to defend from.
Clock gonna wind down here on qualifying from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and we'll get a good look at the starting grid just coming up after this break. Come back right after this 30-second timeout. We'll be going green flag racing from Spa. Adrian Falcon with a great time will sit on the pole. Felipe Drugovich to his outside on the first row. Will Redford and Flavio Dantas in third and fourth, with Liam McNally and Rod Clinard. Rounding out your top 6, Felipe Dantas, Caio Collet rounds out your top 8, with Thiago Spencer and Paulo Dreta rounding out the top 10. Josh Bollane, Dario Agnello, Victor Balea, Michael Caffrey, and Alex Fournier rounds out your top 15. David Porcelli, Luca Ferrace, and Dante Mercado, Mark Van Dalen, and Simon Fessy round out your top 20. Borja Zazo, Jerome Lamy, Ben Cullen, Ethan Mitchell, and rounding out your top 25, it will be Claudio Visparelli with Gerard Cabrera and Remy Garcia rounding out the 27 cars that are getting ready to take the green flag here from Spa. Everybody working their way onto the grid now. It is a host of fast drivers at the front of the field. Can anybody work their way from the midfield up to challenge Falcon, to challenge Drugovich, Redford, Dantas, Clinard, and the rest up at the front of this field? It's time to go racing from Spa. The lights go on, and we are underway in Belgium, and they race their way down the hill. They work their way into Radion and for the first time through turns 1, 2, now into turn number 3. As they run up the hill, they'll head onto the Kemmel Straight, still side by side. Cars trying to battle for position, still side by side at the front is Drugovich and Falcon. Redford going into it. They're 3 wide for P2, almost 3 wide for the lead for the moment, but fighting on that outside. Liam McNally trying to take it. It's Drugovich in the middle. Drugovich makes contact. McNally, Drugovich, they slam into each other. They are around in Lecombe, and as everybody works their way through, more carnage further back, but it's Falcon getting away with the lead.
He's made a fantastic start. Unfortunately, behind it's been an absolute catastrophe. Look at this. So many cars completely ruined. It's a 27-car field, the biggest we've had for a long time in this series, and it is a complete mess in the background. This is the danger with starting past La Source. The field gets very compacted. The slipstream effect is huge, and it almost becomes like a NASCAR race at Daytona. It all gets so close. If somebody makes a mistake, then all of them go down. Unfortunately, we have seen a good 5, 6, 7 cars at least involved in that.
Adrian Falcon gets away with the lead. Flavio Dantas in second. Clinard, Felipe Dantas, and Josh Polane round out your top 5 currently. But a lot of fast drivers just got taken out in that. Simon Fessy, Borja Zazo, McNally, of course, making contact with Felipe Drugovich. The 2 is going to try and limp back to the pit lane with a complete front wing gone. But as they run their way now out of the Blanchimont Straight and into the chicane, it'll be Falcon leading the way, and Dantas and Clinard now trying to battle for second place, trying to catch up to this leader as they'll go through La Source, the final corner on this course. Start-finish line a little bit further down on the straightaway, heading towards Radion and El Rouge. They work their way through La Source now. And a couple of cars running wide there too, but a lot of great cars getting caught up in that first lap as everybody, it looked like a NASCAR race at Daytona when they were racing down into Lacombs, and it was everybody fighting for as much positions as they possibly could.
Yeah, exactly, and 3 into 1 at that corner really didn't go in the end. It was around the outside, Liam McNally trying to make things work, trying to get into the lead, because as I said at the start, you need to get in front of Adrian Falcon off the start if you want to win this race. McNally knew that, I feel, and he tried to go around the outside. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, 3 into 1 really didn't work. He just squeezed the car on his inside that tiny bit too much of Felipe Drugovich. The two got together. McNally went spinning around. Drugovich was going at quite a rate of knots at that point, couldn't slow down and avoid him either, and so it was just a disaster from then on in. We're going to see it again. You can see the blue car on the outside is just going to misjudge it, doesn't quite realise that Drugovich is leaving space for Falcon on the inside. He goes into the corner as if there's only one car on his inside, but actually there is two, and I'm afraid I can't even explain this in the background. It is just absolute bedlam. I can't even begin to describe it. So many cars out of the race.
That first incident was McNally that cut across the track and made contact with the number 2 machine of Felipe Drugovich, and just unfortunate for those drivers that got taken out in this one. Here's what happened further back. It just looked like some slight contact. It looks like 2 wrecks happening at the same time joined into one, and then everybody started to try and react to the incident and got caught up in this wreck. I could count 6, 7, maybe even 8 cars involved in that one off of turn number 9 on the run down into 10. Just such an unfortunate incident for everybody involved, and these cars, much like any open wheelers, so fragile, especially when you get on that front wing. Side pods can take a little bit more damage, but if you start hitting that front wing, it will go quickly, and the aerodynamics in your entire race are going to be gone by the time that damage gets into effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Touching any part of these cars really is going to take a massive effect on you. They're so dependent on everything really, and contact is not really, it's frowned upon, let's say, in open wheel racing. Certainly it's not like touring car GT racing. I can count 10 cars that are either still on pit lane right now or who have been on pit lane at some point at the end of the first or the second lap. That is a lot of the 27 cars who started this race, as we're seeing more battling right now between David Porcelli, who's trying to get through on Michael Kofra just in front of him. A lot of ducking and diving for slipstream. You can see this is going to be a theme of the day because this straight is so long. You can gain so much speed in the draft, and that's exactly what Porcelli has used there to get up into P9.
So working lap number 3 of 13. Now you might notice that lap counter a little bit different than the normal 20 laps that we're used to seeing in this series. We are running a little bit less laps as this is a very, very long racetrack. So we're already going to have 10 to go when they come across the line this time by. It's Falcon leading ahead of Flavio Dantas, Rod Clinard, Caio Colette, and Paulo Dreta rounding out your top 5 currently. As we jump back to the battle for 9th place, it's Porcelli leading Coffrey and Fournier through the middle portion of this racetrack as they run up the hill and into the right-hander. The 11 of Porcelli trying to pull away from this group. And last time by, he did have a little bit faster lap than Coffrey, but Fournier running about 2/10 faster than the 11. He might have an opportunity to catch up to these guys, and they run their way now out of turn 16, and they'll head on to the Blanchimont Straight.
Yeah, they will indeed. I'm not entirely sure if Fournier benefited maybe from a little bit of draft and didn't get the effect of the traffic that the other two might have done, so the times might be a little bit weird. But yeah, you're right. It's certainly closing up in that mid part of the circuit of the order for about P9 on back. It's very close indeed. And up the front, we've got some close battles as well. It looks like Adrian Falcon has just made a bit of a mistake because Flavio Dantas, for the first time in this race, for the first time since the first few corners of this race, he's within half a second, and he's got at least an opportunity now to close up to the back of the Iberian driver just in front. However, I've got a little bit of a concern about this driver we're watching right now because I think there's some suspension damage going on here. I'd like to have another onboard shot really to see if they are actually turning to the left or not. But Dantas is going to go for the lead nevertheless, and fairly easily actually get through on Falcon.
Great move being made as they go down the Camel straight into the comb. So that's going to move Dantas now to the race lead. Falcon to fight from second. Now we know that Adrian Falcon can fight from that second spot. Don't count out that one machine just yet. But look at Rod Clinard watching in the wings. He had only about a 4/100th of a second slower lap time last time by than Flavio Dantas. So we could see Rod Clinard work his way into this fight. We could even see Kyle Collette or Paulo Dreta work their way into this fight as well. This entire top five only separated on the racetrack by roughly about 3.5 seconds. Everybody's still able to race with each other right now, and Dantas and Falcon keep fighting from the lead.
Yeah, you could maybe include Paulin and Redford in that one as well, because they're not too far from the and Dantas, like the other Dantas, Ipe Dantas, in that one. I think this is the beauty of Spa, that what we're seeing right now, the slipstream effect of the Camel Straight is absolutely massive, and you could say from the Paul Frey curve down to the bus stop chicane in the section of the racetrack we're seeing right now. You know, there's so many places for these F3 cars to draft off of each other. They all tend to stack up behind each other and form into trains. This is why I said at the top of the broadcast, I have a feeling this one could go down to the line. It could go down to La Source for the very final time, because the field tends to stay quite close together. The draft allows that, and it means we see fantastic fights going on all the way to the checkered flag.
And the draft does allow them to run a little bit closer together, Owen, but they need to be careful because that dirty air could also become a factor. And if you're running too close to the car in front of you, it almost starts acting like a wall where you can't really get around the car in front of you. So you need to stay pretty much exactly where Adrian Falcon is. Use the slipstream, don't get too close, but also continue to stay into the mirror of the car in front of you. Put that pressure on as we see Rod Clinard put on the fastest lap of the race. He is currently running from third place, trying to catch up to all these drivers ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big job for all of these guys to get back to the front. You can see just in the background there, everybody trying to. I think Adrian Falcon's just hanging out for now. He's just waiting for a moment to strike. I said earlier on that you ideally need to beat him through the first few corners to actually stand a chance in this race, because he tends to run off. Well, in the first two races this season, the first two European races that he won at Hockenheim and Elton Park, he didn't look back. He didn't make any mistakes. He's been absolutely flawless in both of those performances. However, this time we didn't see it on camera, and I haven't seen personally, but I reckon there was a bit of a mistake in there somewhere. He was pushing the gap out to nearly a second, nearly breaking the slipstream. All of a sudden, he was pegged back by Dantas, and now obviously he's not even in the lead anymore. I think there might have been a small little mistake somewhere. Uncharacteristic small little mistake, but a mistake nevertheless, and Dantas has definitely pounced on whatever it was, just a lack in pace or a mistake briefly, and now we really do have a race on.
And Drugovich, with his damage fixed, back on the racetrack, just set the fastest time of the race to 10.220. He is still on the lead lap, but with no safety cars in iRacing on road courses, I don't think we are going to see Drugovich be able to make up enough time. That would be one heck of a drive, and it would be a world record drive if he's able to do that. But we'll see how many positions Drugovich might be able to gain up. He has roughly about 50 seconds in between himself and Thiago Spencer, if you can reel that in. And we might see a battle, and we see a battle here with David Porcelli in the 11 going right on by the 17 of Michael Caffrey. Alex Fournier in this fight still as well, but here comes the 17. He is not done. He takes a peek onto the outside as they work their way into La Source, and you're on board with Fournier watching the side-by-side happen in front of him, but on the exit, it's a great one for David Porcelli. He'll pull away with the 9th spot on the racetrack right now, as fastest time of the race set by Flavio Dantas. The first 2:09 of the day, 2:09.963.
Yeah, these three can't seem to leave each other alone at the moment, particularly Porcelli and Cuffro, and Fournier's just watching on in the waiting in the wings, so to speak, and picking up the pieces maybe, but he's going to kindly go for a move of himself. Now Cuffro blocks him off, and he's getting blocked off by both of them actually, and he backs out to sides, probably smartly, to not get involved in this as they go side by side through Le Combe. Good respectful fighting between the two of them.
Base left in between both of those drivers. That is Porcelli battling with Caffrey. Same thing with Fournier further back in this. Mark Van Dalen also joining this group as well. May make it a group of 4. Add the 24 machine into this picture as they run their way out of turn 11. The normal turn 11, I should say. It is turn 10 on this configuration. Now they work their way through turn 11 on this config. And a good focus on Alex Fournier, up 4 spots from where he started the day, looking to make it up 5 and punch his way into the top 10. He's able to get by the 17 of Michael Caffrey ahead of him. And Porcelli doing a good job now pulling away from this group to try and catch up to the 6 car. Felipe Dantas in 8th place, so Porcelli can keep marching his way, keep climbing up that ladder in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all very close at the moment, but I can't help but feel like the top 8 have run away with this at the moment, and it's going to be difficult for anybody outside of it to get into it at the moment. It feels like we're definitely seeing 2 groups start to define themselves, although Dantas might be just pulling away from Falcon a little bit. Not entirely sure how he's managing it, because I'm convinced he's got some suspension damage, but either way, he doesn't seem to be too affected, and these guys are getting affected a lot by their own battling now, really. I mean, you ideally, if you want to carry on going up the order, you don't want to be fighting like this. I mean, it's entertaining for us, but it's not particularly efficient for these guys, I'm afraid. So, yeah, they're kind of consigned to 9th place or worse at this point, everybody who's involved. And, yeah, it's just going to be a fight between those guys for those positions now, as it looks like Falcon is under a lot of pressure and Clinard gets through on him now.
Clinard with the pass on Falcon. We've seen Clinard get faster and faster each and every lap, and he is showing that right now as the 10 moves in to 2nd place now to try and chase down your race leader at the front of the field, Flavio Dantas. And another move being made into Lacombe, the 11 machine of David Porcelli, able to defend that spot from Michael Caffrey behind him. No change in this group of 4, all battling for P9 on the circuit. They will stay the same as they exit turn 9 into turn 10. Fast left-hander, try not to go too far off track there and get a 1X. And they will continue on now through turn 11 as they continue to battle for 9th. Cars starting to find themselves through the mid portion of the top 10 as well. Dreitza feeling a little bit of pressure from Polane. Polane feeling a little bit of pressure from Redford. Same thing back as Felipe Dantas rounds out your top 8. He's also putting a bit of pressure on Will Redford in that 7th spot. As Michael Caffrey still trying to run away from Fournier behind and trying to catch Porcelli ahead of him. And we march back over to battle for 6th place currently, or battle for 7th, I should say. Felipe Dantas trying to work his way around Will Redford in the 4, but the door is going to be shut as they run their way through the chicane.
Yes, it's pretty close in this group as well, actually. For 5th place, Dreiter and Paulan just in front, with Redford involved as well. Redford put in a fantastic performance in qualifying, by the way. He was very strong indeed, but it lost out a little bit on the start. Has been recovering ever since. I think he might have run it across the grass, actually, on the first lap. I think that might have been him, but anyway, so much happened, it was hard to keep up with. Here he is on board again. This is the battle a couple of laps ago, and yeah, this was...
That was the first lap incident,
yeah.
Actually.
And
he had to go through the grass to avoid that, Owen.
Yeah, he's lost. That's how he's lost most of his position. I realised. I couldn't keep up with everything that happened in that first corner. To be honest, it was so messy. There was so much going on. So many people were involved that very, very difficult to keep up with it all. But no, Redford was indeed across the grass through the very first few corners of this race. Despite that good qualifying, it just remains to be seen, you know, how different things could have been if that incident hadn't taken place. We might still have 25 cars on the grid right now in a leading group of, you know, a much larger size. So, you know, it's unfortunate that that incident took place, but, you know, these guys can only deal with the situation that they've got in front of them.
And they continue to battle now. Will Redford falling back 4 spots for when he started in 3rd, but still a pretty good day running in P7 as we go on board with Flavio Dantas. I believe this is also on that first lap. As you can see, he was on the right side 3 wide and trying to split it and make a hole down there on the bottom with the 1. Couldn't do it. Went to the middle. Braked a little bit early. Here is the wreck happening in front of him, and he goes right, and he just chose the exact perfect line to choose, and he he got gifted a good second place there after 3 cars just completely disappeared in front of him. The seas parted for him there to go into second place, and now he's leading the race.
I absolutely feeling like Moses right now, given he's leading because of that, and you're absolutely right. Just sometimes things just fall right for you. Sometimes it's just your day, and on this occasion, Dantas was the chosen one, and he was chosen to go through. Unfortunately, many others didn't. But no, sometimes you do just get lucky on where you place your car. Dantas was very, very smart though in his decision to just back it off a little bit going into that corner. I'm not saying it's all luck for him. You know, he did just take a breath for a minute, just backed off, broke steadily into the corner, and let things happen in front of him. Didn't get too rushed into that first corner of the day, so a lot of credit can be given to him for that one, but obviously you've got to have that slice of luck on your side as well.
And they're on board of this first lap incident. Remy Garcia working his way through Lacombe, and you can see everything unfolding in front of him. That is where the majority of the incident happened, and he barely gets through. Wow. Great wreck avoidance from the 27 there. He slowed it down just enough to see exactly where he needed to go. Chose the right line, took it to the left side. It is now on to race another day, currently running in 15th.
Yeah, you get the feeling that he knew that was going to happen because he took that first few corners, that first section so slowly that he was able to pick his way through. And in the end, it's paid off for him because, you know, 10 cars have ended up well out of position in this race. Some of them laps and laps down. The likes of McNally and Boyazazo and those guys didn't even return to the race, and he's doing significantly better than them now. So, yeah, full credit to him for backing off and being smart enough to realise that the race isn't going to be won in the first corner. He's just got to settle himself into the day, get himself through that first lap catastrophe first of all. That was very good driving indeed.
Felipe Drugovich sets another fastest lap of the race as he tries to chase down Luca Ferrace in front of him. That gap that I mentioned at Thiago Spencer, it's now a gap to Luca Ferrace. It was around 50 seconds, roughly around the beginning of the race when Felipe Drugovich came out of the pit lane after getting repairs. Yeah, it is now down to about 13 and a half seconds. So I think we might see Drugovich at least get into a battle with one car, maybe two, if he keeps on this run that he's having right now. But on board with Josh Polane as he is stuck in a sandwich of Paulo Drayton and Will Redford in 6th place. Everybody battling for 5th right now as you see Paulo Drayton in the 5 holds that 5th spot right now. He leads his group through La Source, final corner on this racetrack as they run down to the start-finish line. That is once again placed a little bit further down towards Eau Rouge and Radion as they will run their way back up the hill. 4 laps to go already. A short lap counter, only about 13 laps, but definitely not a short races. Every single lap time here around Spa in these F3 cars are roughly about 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Anywhere a little bit under that and maybe a little bit over that as well. So still a good amount of time is left, and you could see Will Redford Josh Polane trying all he can to get by Will Redford as Redford tries to block the number 9 car from making a pass behind him, and Felipe Dantas trying to catch up to this group. He's in that white number 6 car a little bit further on back.
Yeah, trying to get involved. It looks like he has actually got the pace to be involved in this fight as well, and Redford's looking pretty pacey as well right now, so Drayton might be under a bit of pressure before he knows it, but yeah, that was Pauline giving that position up to Redford in the end. He couldn't really do much. Yeah, the slipstream quite powerful, even though he actually held on to some slipstream down the Kemmel Straight. It wasn't really enough because he had the outside line, and yeah, it wasn't enough for him to hold on to 6th place for now. So Redford has taken that, and I get the feeling he'll be in the top 5 before we know it. As I mentioned, good qualifying performance, not a great start as we got a replay of not so long ago, and now he's recovering that. It's a case of what could have been for him really. I think he could have been on the podium if he indeed had avoided that first lap incident with a little bit more quickly, because he was jammed to about 10th outside the top 10 after it. Maybe if that didn't happen, he'd be on the podium right now, but either way, he's going to have to settle for a top 5 if you can get it.
Down to the outside goes Josh Polane, not able to get close enough to prevent Will Redford from blocking him, but Redford gets loose, working his way through the chicane. Now to the back wing goes Polaine. Is he going to be able to make a move on Will Redford down into turn number 20 in La Source here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps? Not able to do so. They stay single file as they work their way out of the corner and down the hill. It's Flavio Dantas still leading the way with 3 laps to go. Rod Clinard in second. Adrian Falcon, Kyle Colette, and Paulo Dreta rounds out your top 5, and the gap for the lead extending to about 1.3 seconds. Clinard gonna need to gain a little bit more time if he wants to battle for the lead, but we're on the battle for 6 as right on that back wing, almost shoving him down the Kemmel Straight, is Josh Polaine. Is he gonna step out to make a move? No, he doesn't. He'll stay single file and stay right behind the 4.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen bump drafting in an F3 championship, really. Polaine was so close to the back of Redford there, and I think he might have been just testing the waters for maybe the final lap. Maybe wondering, is it best if I am behind Redford going on to this final lap so that I can take him into Les Combes and then hold on into the bus stop for the final time? This is a 3 wide moment. Oh my goodness me, that's a huge accident in the battle for 9th position. Alex Fournier out of the race, trying to go 3 wide. There is space for that here, but not apparently for those guys. They couldn't find the space. Anyway, that was a huge accident for him, I'm afraid.
Just looked like maybe just a little... He moved over a little bit. Could have been a little bit of just a slight twitch to the wheel, just a little bit contact on these open wheel cars, and that just sends them right around into the guardrail as we pick up the battle for the 7th spot right now. Polaine and Dantas, who has reeled in the number 9 machine just a little bit as Drugovich sets another fastest lap, 209.671 for the 2 machine, as he's scored currently in 16th, trying to get a top 15 away from Thiago Spencer. He's going to need to gain 32 seconds of time in 3 laps. We'll see if he can do it. But focusing on this battle for 7th, running our way through the chicane. Redford able to keep on to 6th after Polaine with a bit of bump drafting, like we mentioned, down the Kemmel Straight. That puts him still in 7th as he did not choose to try and make a pass there, so he might be getting a bit of pressure now from the 6 of Felipe Dantas, and it looks like he will get that pressure as they'll run down the hill. 2 laps to go in this race. Clinard trying to reel in your race leader, Flavio Dantas, there in 2nd place, and the number 8th place, number 6 machine of Felipe Dantas trying to roll in on the number 9 of Josh Polaine. They go side by side down the Kemmel Straight, and it is going to be Felipe Dantas with a great move on the left side. He is going to take over 7th place. That'll put Polaine back into 8th.
Yeah, indeed, not a great lap there. Especially the second half of that lap, for Polaine was not particularly great. It allowed Felipe Dantas to get very close indeed. And yeah, there was no arguing about it really. Once you get into that Kemmel Straight and you're that close, there's not a lot you can really do. It looks like Paulaine's going to have the pace to at least challenge him for that position back. We'll just wait and see if Felipe Dantas just has that little bit of extra pace to keep him at bay, but it doesn't look like he's quite going to be close enough to grab 6th place by the end of the race, although he might really turn the pace on late on. I don't think Clinard is going to have quite enough either. It's just over 9 tenths of a second. He's slowly reeling in Flavio Dantas at the moment. 2.5 tenths of a second. He was quicker than him last time around, but I'm afraid with only 1 lap to go after this one, I don't think at least that's going to be quite enough.
Polaine trying to get back by Felipe Dantas if he's able to. He'll go back into P7. You're on board with that Formula 3 machine now. Polaine up 3 spots from where he originally started back in the 11th position. He was looking to finish 7th for 4 up on the day. Into the chicane. He is not going to make a move. He stays tucked in behind. A little bit of smoke up in front and a little bit of a missed apex from Felipe Dantas. Contact made as the front wing, I believe, made a little bit of contact to the rear wheel of Felipe Dantas, but Polaine gets by. Hopefully that number 9 machine has no damage, or he might be in for another pass from Felipe Dantas. But the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Flavio Dantas leads the way. Up the hill they go, and it looks like the 9 car able to get away with at least minor damage, maybe no damage at all, as he is going to keep 7th place. as they work their way on the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, there was definite contact, but no visible sign of damage. Somewhat remarkably, Dantas is going to have a second bite of the cherry, though, at trying to get back through on Paulin. He's not quite got the speed, though. He's going to be on the outside line for the first pot of leg com. Is there going to be enough space there? Paulin takes it away from him, and so there is not any more. Dantas is going to have to try into the bus stop for the final time if he wants 7th place.
They continue to fight for 7th. The fight for the lead did not develop too much. As you can see, Rod Clinard about a solid 8.5 tenths back from your race leader, Flavio Dantas. A great run for the 3 here, Ewan, and he's looking to have a walk-off victory here at Spa after a good run through the middle portion of this race to take that lead.
Yeah, a great drive from him. The first driver really, since the European rounds anyway, to really challenge Adrian Falcon, who's been dominant in the last 2 weeks. Dantas is going to stop that this week, becoming the 2nd double race winner of this season, and also the only driver so far this season to win races on 2 different continents.
And he's going to work his way down the straightaway into the chicane. A great run for the 3 of Flavio Dantas, and is looking for a walk-off victory from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. He swings it through the left-hander onto what is normally the Formula 1 front straightaway. It's not the front straightaway here, and we go side by side as it looks like Paulin getting a little bit loose into the chicane. They'll go side by side down the normal F1 front straightaway. That is Paulin and Dantas, but on the left side of your screen, it is the Brazilian Flavio Dantas grabbing the win in the number 3 car, and a crossover move. Dantas down to the bottom, and around goes Paulin. He is going to spin as he exits La Source. He'll lose another spot, and finishing 7th, it will be Felipe Dantas, and it looks like Paulin might have escaped losing another spot. A lap machine actually went by, so he will keep P8. But what a run to the finish for the battle for 7th. Dantas able to take it at the line.
Yeah, great fight between them, both of them leaving it all on the line, and we saw it with Paulin, really. He knew he had a 15-second margin behind. He could give it everything through La Source. Unfortunately, he just tipped it over the edge right at the very end. Wasn't able to hold on to the place, but a very entertaining fight between the 2.
What a way to finish out the day here from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It's Flavio Dantas, the Brazilian, that walked away with the win, and Rod Clinard coming home in 2nd. Adrian Falcon, Kyle Collette, and Paulo Dreta rounds out your top 5. Will Redford, Felipe Dantas, Josh Paulin, Michael Coffrey, and Mark Van Dalen rounds out your top 10. David Porcelli, Gerard Cabrera, Dante Macchiato, Remy Garcia, Thiago Spencer rounds out your top 15, with Felipe Dragovic, Luca Ferraris, Alex Fournier, Dario Agnello, and Ben Cullen rounding out your top 20. Everybody else down from here was involved in a handful of incidents on the opening lap of the race here from Spa. It's Jerome Lamy, Ethan Mitchell, Simon Fessy, Claudio Visparelli, Leah McNally II, Borja Zazo, and Victor Bolea that round out the top 27 and all 27 cars that took the green flag here. And fastest lap of the race, set on the final lap too, a 2:09.440 from Will Redford in the 4. What a way. It's a race here from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, Ellen, and we are not going to be slowing down 1 week from now. We are going to be jet setting over to Phillip Island, in a bit of a unique circuit compared to Spa, but equally as challenging and equally as fun.
A wonderful driver's circuit, fantastically flowing, especially through the first part of the lap, and yeah, it's absolutely wonderful to drive on. Let's see how it's going to be for racing. V8 Supercars have always raced pretty well around there. I'm expecting the F3s to race well around there as well, to be honest, because they race well everywhere, really, and we're going to be looking forward to it. But yeah, it's been a great race here at Spa. As well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I knew the track would race well, and it has done. It's provided a great show for us once again, and yeah, we're left wanting more, of course, again, and we'll be back next week, of course, to do just that.
And we hope you'll join us in 1 week's time here on RaceSpotTV for the next round of the Apex Racing Academy official F3 Championship. And we thank you for joining us here for this round from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. For Hugo Louise down in the virtual production trailer, for Owen O'Leary, my name is Joshua Lee. Thank you for joining us here from virtual Belgium, and we will see you in 1 week from virtual Australia at Phillip Island for the next round of the Apex Racing Academy official F3 Championship.